Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhasha Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Hari Om everybody. Hope everybody had a good long weekend. And I have my bookmark on verse 531, right? 531, we are okay. So we are in the very end portion of the Vivekachudamani, where the Guru, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, is blessing his disciple who has realized. So we are on the portion where he is blessing the disciple, blessing us also. And in that blessing also is a revision of what has been taught. It is a revision of Vedanta as well. So let's see 531 and 532. I think 531 we did. 532 also did we do, but we'll do them again. Yeah. Anyway, 531 and 532, the verses are about knowing. Both are about knowledge. One is knowledge of an external object, and the second one, 532, is the knowledge of an object for us right now, which is actually the subject. So 531 is talking about the general objects outside, and therefore it is said, this is a jar, or this is a computer, this is a stapler, or whatever, any object in the outside world, as long as there is the correct means of knowledge. Okay, so if I want to see color and form, I need eyes. If I want to understand what type of smell it is, then I need a nose. For sound, I need the ear. That is what is meant here. So, and then to know the object, there has to be the object, there has to be the knower, and then the knowledge has to take place. Knowledge takes place only, I think, this is what I told you last time also, when the sense organ comes in contact with the sense object. So there has to be a contact between the subject object, and then knowledge takes place. So the means has to be correct. Like if I want to see something, but I'm using my ears, or I gave you the example of the pizza. You buy a pizza and then you put it on the head, you will not know how it tastes. You have to put it in your mouth to understand the taste of it. Okay, so there are three things that are required to know any object. First of all, that object has to be there. Then I have to be there, the subject, because I want to know the object. And then the means has to be there, and the means has to be the correct means of knowledge, and the means have to come in contact with the object. Like outside maybe there is a car, but I am sitting here. Now there is no contact between my eyes and the car. So knowledge cannot happen. Okay. Now, the next one is Ayam Atma Nitya Siddha Pramane Sati Bhasate. This Atman, which is an eternal truth, manifests itself in the presence of the right means of knowledge. Same way, just like we need the right means of knowledge to know an external object, we also need a right means of knowledge to know this Atma, which is Nitya Siddha, means it is eternally proven, because constantly I'm using the word I did this, I saw this, I went here, I went there, I walked, I ran. So constantly that I is being used, and that is telling us that this Atma is Nitya Siddha. It is already proven, it is there. So the correct means of knowing this Atma is only the scriptures, Shabda Pramana. Between the six, we have direct perception, we have inference, we have comparison, we have absence. We have, you presume. So, you wake up in the morning and there is all white stuff on the ground, then you know that there was snow last night. So, and the last is Shabda Praman. So to know this, presence and the right means of knowledge, it is dependent neither on place nor time. Why? Because it is with me, it is the subject. Do I need to know myself at a particular time and a particular place? See, when you have to see external objects, suppose if you have to see them, you need light. There are many factors. Now, to know myself, do I need light? Do I need a mirror? Do I get up in the morning and look in the mirror and then say, oh, I'm Jaya, or is somebody else telling me who I am? Don't I know myself, within myself, who I am? You get this point? That is the difference. There is a difference between knowing something external and knowing my own self. Okay. Now, next one, I think 533 is where we have to start. Devadattohamitteta vijnanam nirapekshakam tadvad brahma vidopyasya brahmahamiti vedanam. I'm Devdatta. This knowledge is independent of conditions. Similarly, the knower of Brahman realizes that he is Brahman. So Devdatta is a common word in the scriptures. They always talk about Devdatta. Like, they talk about snake and rope. So if they're talking about a person, they will always say Devdatta. There's a very, it is the only name that is used, Devdatta. Even there is the thing where they say, oh, everybody is noticing Devdatta is getting very fat, but he never eats during the day. We never saw him, Devdatta eating during the day. That means we presume that he must be eating in the middle of the night. But how come so there also is Devdatta, everywhere it is Devdatta. So the point is, this can be, I'm Jaya, or I am so and so. Do I need somebody, anything else to know that I'm Jaya? That is the point here. That way, the one who realizes him to be Brahma, himself to be Brahman, doesn't need anything external. He just knows. The self-realization, when it happens, this is how it happens. You just know. Right now, also we know. Why? Intellectually, we have heard this many, many times. We have heard it in the Bhagavad Gita, we have heard it in Vivekachudamani, in Atma Bodh, Tattva, any scriptural text that we have read, we have heard that I am that supreme consciousness. And therefore we know it. But this is not the knowing. This is not knowing. Just like, how very easily you know that you are so and so. Like very, very easily I know I'm Jaya. That way, I can only describe, because even I have not read. That way, with that much ease, you will know that you are pure consciousness. That is what is being said, because it's your own self. You don't need any other means of knowledge to know yourself. Okay. See, there are three things for knowing, for knowledge to happen. There are three things. Subject. This is the dialogue that Gurudev has given. So I'll explain this. There is the subject, there is the object, and the third thing is the means of knowledge. Okay, I explain this. Now, depending on the object, the means has to be the correct means of knowledge. Number one point, like I told you, if I want to see color and form, I need only eyes. There's no point in my tongue and ears and nose, absolutely useless. Color and form, knowledge of color and form can only happen through the medium of eyes. So I need eyes, then the eyes will need light. There's other external things. Okay. Okay, so that is how it is. Now, to know myself, what do I need? What are the means of knowledge? One more point. When I'm trying to get knowledge of an external object, I need the correct means, and I also need the means which are not defective. See, there should not be any defect in the means. Like suppose I'm trying to read, but I'm wearing reading glasses. Now, without the glasses, I mean, light is one factor. Light also I need. But suppose I'm short-sighted or whatever, so I need the glasses also to read because my eyes are defective. So which means that to know something external, the means also have to be perfect. Okay, got it? Correct means has to be there. Means have to be perfect also. I should be able to see clear. If I want to read, I must be able to see clearly, or I must wear reading glasses to this thing. Now, coming to this Atma, coming to the pure consciousness also, there is the subject, the object, and the means of knowledge. Because right now we think Atma is an object. Okay, so we are trying to know this object called pure consciousness or Atma. Okay, just right now, in a state of ignorance. Now, the means are only Shabda Praman, which is what? Vedas, scriptures. Okay. In case of pure consciousness, we have to understand that it is not an external object. It is actually the subject. All right. Number 2 point. Okay. Then number 3 point. Because the means are the Vedas, can there be any defect in the Vedas? There's no, that is an like absolute law. Okay, that there you may think there is a defect. That means there is a defect in your understanding, but there is no defect in the scriptures. So in the means, there are no defects. Like in my eyes, there can be a defect, and because of that, I cannot read. That eyes are the means. Eyes can have a defect. Ears can have a defect. Nose can have some defect. But in case of Atma, the pure consciousness, the means, which are the scriptures, have no defect. Okay. Now, the object is the pure self. Can there be any defect in the pure self, in the conscious? No, no. Now, there is no defect in the means, and there is no defect in the object, and yet I don't know. That's the point. That means there is a defect somewhere, na? So if there is no defect in the object, which is pure consciousness, there is no defect in the means, which is the scriptures, that means the defect is in me. In spite of there not being any defect in the two factors, I do not realize myself to be that. I do not know myself to be that Atma. I go on. See, nobody says I'm the body, I'm the body. Nobody says that. But everybody is saying, I did this, I did that, and I get upset. We get upset when something is going wrong with the body. That tells us that I'm considering the body to be myself. So the defect is in the subject. And what is the defect is the impurity of the mind. That is the defect. Because knowledge only happens through the medium of mind intellect. Okay, your mind, intellect, everything. So if that medium is defective, then even though there is no defect in the Vedas, in the means, and there is no defect in the goal, in the object, I cannot understand, know, realize the object. And therefore, the defect, who has to work on the defect is me, myself, on my mind. The defect is not in the body. There is no, where it comes to knowing the self, body has got nothing to do with it. Body is inert. If there is something outside I have to do, then I need a strong body. I need maybe a tall body to get something from up there. Then there is a defect. I'm too short, so I can't reach the top. So that is a defect in the body, but that's for external things. But for this internal subject that I'm trying to know, myself, I'm trying to know as the Atma, mind is required. The mind has to be transcended. And to transcend the mind, it has to obtain, it has to be highly, highly, highly pure. Because once it becomes pure, what happens is right now, the mind is like a mirror, our mind. And if notice your own mind, if somebody comes from they smile, you will immediately smile. If they look the other way, you will also say, oh, forget it, I will also look the other way. You don't go nudge them and smile at them. Hey, don't look. No, we will always reflect what is coming from the front. That person says hello, we say hello. That person says, how are you? We'll say, I'm fine, how are you? Do you know that? So mind is like a mirror. It reflects everything. So when you polish that mind, when you make it defect free, when you make it pure, that mirror becomes a transparent glass. So now it is not reflecting, but it is actually the divinity within is now shining through that glass outside. This is what happens. That is the importance of the purity of the mind. Okay, so this is what it is. If that's why here it said the subjective knowledge that I'm so and so is independent of any intermediation. That's why he said Devdatta, for me, for you to know yourself. Do you ask somebody else, who am I? Do you go to the mirror, bathroom, let me wait. Let me look in the mirror, let me see who I am? No. You get this point? This is a very subtle point. Okay, clear? All right. So that's the thing, is that there is some defect somewhere that we don't know. In spite of Bhagavan Shankaracharya giving us more than 500 verses, we still don't know who we are. That means there is some defect somewhere. We cannot say there is a defect in Vivekachudamani. It's a scripture to us. There's no defect in Bhagavan Shankaracharya. That's me only. I am the problem. So deal with it. भानुनेव जगत् सर्वं भासते यस्य तेजसा अनात्मकमसत्तुच्छं किं नु तस्यावभासकम्. What indeed can manifest, that whose effulgence like the sun cause the entire fallacious, unreal and unimportant universe to appear at all? So what is being said is, the sun is required to illumine the entire world. Okay. But who is illumining the sun? What is required for the sun to be known? The sun is self-illumining. Anatmakam satucham kim nu tasya avabhasakam. So entire unreal is what indeed can manifest, that whose effulgence. Okay, that, see, that is in capital T. Is it in capital T in your book? Okay, so that whose effulgence, that those three words are referring to pure consciousness. Okay, what is being said is the light behind the sun, chapter 15, is that of pure consciousness. Okay, and let me explain this. So the sun is now required to see everything in the world. Do I need the sun to know myself? That's number one question. Do I stand in the sunlight and then somebody comes and says, oh, you are Jaya? Or do I know whether I'm in the dark or in the sun? I know I'm Jaya. Okay, now who is actually giving reality to the sun? Who is saying that the sun is shining up? Is me. And who am I? I'm the pure consciousness. So a conscious sentient being is required to validate the sun. That is what this means. What indeed can manifest that? Okay, so who can illumine the pure consciousness? Like sun illumines the world, the inert world. Okay, is there some entity which can illumine the pure consciousness? Answer is no. Answer is no. Sun can illumine the world, but sun cannot illumine the pure consciousness. Why? Because it is because of the pure consciousness that the sun is able to illumine. Okay. It is easy, but can be complicated. This is what it is. Okay, if you want to read, the objects of the world borrow the light of the sun and reflect it. The universe of OET and the equipments of the BMI all exist and shine forth, borrowing their existence from the brilliance of consciousness. For if consciousness does not function through the equipment, that equipment is considered dead. Means what? Means if the consciousness is not functioning through this body would be considered as dead. Okay, so to know the sun, no illuminator is necessary. To know whether the sun has risen or not, there is no need to light a match. To know consciousness, you do not need an instrument. So that instrument, when it is said, that instrument also, sun is not an instrument to illumine pure consciousness. All right, any questions? This is what chapter 15 also Bhagavan says, na tatra surya bhati na chandra tarakam. The sun cannot illuminate, the moon cannot illuminate, the fire cannot illuminate the pure consciousness, because all of these are borrowing their powers from the pure consciousness. Gurudev's very simple example of the flashlight. The flashlight will illumine the entire room, but it cannot illumine its own batteries. The batteries that are in the flashlight, because it's the power to illumine is coming from the battery. Battery is the source. Cause is the illumination. So the effect cannot look at the cause. Effect cannot know the cause. All right. Veda Shastra Puranani Bhutani Sakalanyapi Yenarthavanti Tam Kintu Vijñātāram Prakāshayet. That by which all Vedas, Shastras, and Puranas, and all other beings are endowed with meaning, verily, what can illumine that eternal subject? So what is being said is, there are no external means to know pure consciousness. That is what it is. Vedas, that's why you have to understand that Vedas, what are Vedas? What is the Shabda Praman in the Vedas? What is the means? What are the words? The words are not there to tell us that there is a pure consciousness. Okay? Because the very fact that the words are being known to me is an indication that there is pure, I'm conscious. The very fact that I can read the book knows if I was dead or if I was unconscious, I would not be able to read the book. Okay. So to read the Vedas, consciousness is already there. So what Vedas is telling us and what is the purpose of the Vedas, even though the consciousness is there, what do I think? I think it is the ego, it is the body, it is the eyes that is reading. It is my mind which is reading the Vedas, which is understanding the Vedas. And I am the body, mind, intellect equipment. That is my thought. In actuality, it is because of the consciousness that my body, mind, intellect is functioning. And because of that, I can read the Vedas. So the Vedas are there to tell us that you are not the body, mind, intellect, you are that pure consciousness. But the Vedas are not a proof that pure consciousness exists. They are not the proof that way. Understand this. This is a very important point of the Vedas. Shabda Pramana is there. Shabda Pramana is there to tell us what we are not. Because right now we are established in Anatma. We are established in the not self. We are established in the fact that I am the body. I am the mind. I am the intellect. We are established in that for births and births and births. Now to remove that, we need somebody to tell us. And that is the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas is never to tell us that there is a consciousness. Because the very fact that I see the Vedas, the very fact that I'm reading the Vedas is telling me that there is consciousness, but I don't recognize that consciousness as consciousness. I recognize it as myself, the small I. Okay. All right. Esha swayam jyotirananta shaktihi atma prameya sakalaनुभूतिः yameva vidyaya vimukta bandho jayatyayam brahma viduttamottamah. Here is the self-effulgent Atman of endless power, beyond all conditioned knowledge, yet the direct experience of all. Freed from bondage, realizing this alone, the best among the knowers of Brahman lives his life of victory. So the only victory is, we think victory is in, gaining position, power, money, prestige. That's what victory is, getting a medal, championship, etc. The real victory is to know who you actually are. And who we actually are is that self-effulgent Atman of endless power. Okay, beyond all conditioned knowledge. Conditioned knowledge is knowledge that is gained through the mind, because mind is a conditioning on the supreme reality. See, the supreme reality is actually one without a second. Then when it comes through the intellect, it gets one covering, upadhi. That's why these body is known as the koshas, the sheaths. So the pure self is actually one untainted, very, very pure, unconditioned reality. But it comes into the intellect and then gets as though conditioned by the intellect, then by the mind, and then by the body. And so it actually, even though being free from bondage, it appears bound. Eva word, therefore, is very important. It as though it is bound within the body, within the mind, within the intellect. And whatever knowledge we get through the mind and intellect is conditioned, because the mind is conditioned. Mind is limited, right? Body is very limited. Then mind is a little bit subtler than the body. So the mind can go to places where the body cannot go or has not been. And the intellect can go to even places where the mind doesn't know. But yet, these are the conditioned. So when it is said beyond all conditioned knowledge, means beyond body, mind, intellect. Conditioned knowledge is through these instruments. And yet it is actually a direct experience, because I constantly feel I, right? The I is constantly shining. I do this, I'm doing this, I'm seeing this, I'm speaking, I'm listening, I'm reading, I'm eating, I'm watching TV. So that I is a direct experience of us. Our problem is we consider that I, the Chidabhasa, to be I. See, there is Chit and Chidabhasa, I told you. Chit is the pure consciousness. Chidabhasa is the reflection. That reflected consciousness, I am thinking that is what I am. That is the mistake. That is the mistake. Okay. Freed from bondage. What is the freedom from bondage? Bondage is the mind. So when you go beyond the mind, when you transcend the mind, then you are the knower of Brahman, and you will live a life of victory. That there's nothing. Why victory? What is victory? Victory is, when you gain something, overpowering somebody else, like the highest. Now, realizing myself to be Brahman, there is nothing further to be known. That's why it is the greatest victory. Because there remains nothing to be known, there remains nothing to be done. Krita Kritya word Bhagavan Krishna uses in 15th chapter, right? Krita Krityascha Bharata. Krita Krityascha means what? In very layman language, been there, done that, don't want to do it again. That is the translation of Krit. Means anything that is to be done is done. That is the feeling that that person gets when he realizes Brahman. Okay. Whatever is to be done, I have done. And whatever is to be achieved, I have achieved. There is nothing more for me to do or to achieve. And that is the life of victory. Krita Krityascha. even we can feel kritakritya when, when if our children grow up and we've done everything properly in our life. If pravrutti, and we talk about pravrutti in chapter 18, I told you, if pravrutti is done correctly, karma yoga is done correctly, following the tenets of karma yoga, it will lead to karma sannyas. And karma sannyas is kritakritya, where you do things out of joy, not out of a need. I need this, so I want to do this. I want this. I desire this. There is nothing to be done. Okay. Now, how does he behave, the realized master? न खेद्यते नो विषये प्रमोदते न सज्जते नापि विरज्यते च स्वस्मिन् सदा क्रीडति नन्दति स्वयं निरन्तरानन्दरसेन तृप्तः. Neither grieved nor elated, neither attached nor averse to sense objects, but content with the endless essence of bliss. He sports and revels in the self. Neither grieved nor elated. Anybody remembers chapter 2? Sukha dukhe same krutva. Bhagwan told Arjun in chapter 2 only. This is the result. There it was an instruction. Be equanimous to sukha and dukkha. When you practice that becomes karma yoga. When you are practicing, it is karma yoga. And when you realize the goal, it is na khidyate, no vishaya pramodate. So whether something that he likes comes to him, or whether something that he doesn't like comes to him, he doesn't grieve and he doesn't go, helter, like excited. Na sajjate na api virajyate cha. He's neither attracted or attached or averse to sense objects. This is why we are running. See, sometimes we are attached, so we are running towards, and sometimes we are averse, so we are running away. So he's not running because he knows that whatever is in his destiny is going to come. Some things which will come will be his things that he likes, and some other things will come which he doesn't like. He knows that. So it doesn't bother him. This is the description of a realized master. Okay. For us, it has to be sadhana. It has to be practice. It has to be effort for us. So he says, doesn't matter what comes to me. It's no, see in Valmiki Ramayana, I just read this. It is said that human birth is because of 50% papa and 50% punya. So it seems when the punya is giving results, then at that time, the results of papa cannot come. They don't come. And when this punya finishes, then that papa result will start. So what does punya give? Happiness. What is punya ultimately? Good result, good work will give me happiness. Bad work will give me sorrow. So the realized master knows that, okay, something is making me happy. That means I did something good in my past life, which is coming to me. And then something, so he is neutral. So what he's doing is, the situation that comes to him is because of his past, but he's not creating any vasanas for the future. We are doing both. We get that, and then we we have a reaction to those situations or objects or persons that come to us, and we create more vasanas for the future birth. So that's what he's not doing. Then what does he do? Sasmin sada kridati. So swasmin means within himself. Kridati, he enjoys. Krida is to play. So he revels in his own self, is happy with himself. He's happy to be alone. He doesn't feel lonely because he's actually full with that bliss. Why? Bliss. And Nandati. So Nandati, we heard these words Atmarati and Atmakrida. In Bhagavad Gita, this has come. So Atmarati is within himself, he just revels with his eyes. So he's happy. He's not waiting, oh, maybe somebody will call me, somebody will, something exciting. There's no waiting only for him. He's just within himself. And Atma Krida means reveling when he is actively engaged in the world. So there also, because you see, he's a realized master, but he's living in the world. So sometimes there'll be times when he'll be alone by himself. We have seen this even in Siddha Prajna Lakshana. Arjuna asked, how does he talk? So the question is, either he can proactively talk or somebody else can come and ask him a question, because I can phone somebody or somebody else can phone me. So talking can happen in both. So there it was said, when he has to talk, he will only talk about Atma, because that is all he knows. And when somebody else comes to him and asks him, if he has to proactively talk, he will never talk about mundane things, like weather and what are the mutual funds doing and what's not about the world. He will only talk of Atma, and when somebody asks him a question, he will reply as per the question. So Atma Rati and Atma Krida. Atma Rati means reveling when he's alone, and Atma Krida is reveling in the same bliss when he's in the company of other people, because sometimes there'll be company, sometimes there will not be company. He'll be alone, so it's okay that way. And why is this? Trupta, because he's content. Trupta is very, very content in the bliss of the self. See, when we are content, the only example that I can give, if once you have eaten your food and you're full, then even if somebody else offers you something that you really like, you will tend to say no. I think so. Or maybe you'll say, oh no, this is ras malai, maybe I can have some space. But in the mundane world, that is what tripti, contentment is, when you are filled, full inside. It doesn't mean that you're in a big house or you have a lot of money, you have a lot, it doesn't mean, but you're happy in whatever that you have. That is what contentment is. So, and he has got the bliss of the self, which is like an ocean of bliss, right? So he's very content in that. So if something good comes, it doesn't disturb him. If something bad comes, that also doesn't disturb him. If he's alone, he's fine. If he's in company, he's fine. Because of that never ending bliss, which he has recognized himself to be. He's the source of that bliss. Once you recognize that you are yourself the source of your bliss, you will not go for happiness outside. Okay. I've underlined these lines here. There's the third last, Nandana and Krida. When he rebels, Nandana, he needs nothing other than himself to entertain himself. So he's alone. He enjoys himself in himself by himself. Okay, that is what Atmarati is. And Krida, Atma Krida, is when he needs something other than himself to entertain himself. But when he's talking about himself, this second line is referring to ignorant people. Like if I need something else to entertain me, like that I am, but with the realized master, he doesn't need anything. But if suppose it comes to him, company comes to him because of his prarabdha, he enjoys. Okay, it's not like, oh, I like to be alone, so now I don't want to see you. There's nothing like that. All right. Kshudham dehavyatham tyaktva bala kridati vastuni tathaiva vidman ramate nirmamo niraham sukhi. Forgetting his hunger and physical pains, a child plays with toys. In the same way, the wise man is happy and revels without the ideas of I and mine. So Bala word is used, even Bhagavan Shankaracharya uses it in Bhaja Govindam. He says the realized master is either there, he says he's like a child or like a madman. Now, child is childlike. There is like childlike and childish. These are the two words. So childlike is a realized master. Child means like a child. Now, if you look at a child, a small child, 2 years old, whatever, he's playing with his toys and then something goes wrong and he cries, and then the mother just distracts his attention and, oh, look at the car, look at that bus. And then the child forgets the past moment. So the child lives from moment to moment. He doesn't remember. So he will not even remember that this thing hurt me. So once he forgets, he will go back, play with the same thing also. That is why they are compared. realized masters are compared to the children because they live from moment to moment. They don't carry the grudges from the past like we do. We say, oh, last time you never were nice to me, so I'm not going to say hello to you. Or, we carry something in our mind. We have got a load, baggage we carry all the time. So if you want to be free, like a realized master is very free. Gurudev, used to get angry when he used to see, but they say, I have not seen, I've heard this about Gurudev, like in the Yadya, somebody is not doing something properly, he would get very angry at the person and whatever, he would scold or whatever, tell him whatever. But suppose at the next Yadya, he met him again, that anger is not carried forward. He will be totally like he met him for the first time. That is childlike. Childish is what we are, you did this last time, now I'm going to, that is childish. That's kindergarten stuff, you're my friend, so you cannot talk to somebody else. That's there. In kindergarten, you're my best friend, so only we two talk to each other. We shouldn't be talking to anybody else. If that friend talks to somebody else, then we are upset. That is childish, but childlike. And so Kshudham Dehavyatham Tyaktva. So the child forgets that he's hungry. The mother will go, oh, it's time for you to eat. Come and eat. He's busy playing. Right? Kridati Vastuni. Bala Kridati Vastuni. The child goes on playing like that. This Vidwan, for him, it's not that he's forgotten hunger and thirst. Nirmamo niraham sukhi. For him, what is hunger and thirst? He doesn't have any hunger for company. He doesn't have any hunger or thirst for enjoyment, which we do. Like, I want to go for a movie and enjoy. That sort of thirst, that sort of hunger, he doesn't have. He's very happy within himself. He's fulfilled, he's content. So it's not for the child, example is physical hunger and physical thirst, which he forgets. But for the realized master, it shouldn't be taken as, oh, he forgets physical hunger. No, not like that. He doesn't have any, therefore, nirmamo and niraham. Iham is desire. Niraham is without desire. So he doesn't have any desire and he doesn't have any attachment. What is attachment? I plus I want. That is the definition Gurudev has given of attachment. Attachment equals I plus I want. So when he becomes, because he's a nirmama, means there is no sense of I-ness, and therefore there is no I want. And therefore he's very sukhi. He forgets everything else. Just like the child forgets hunger and thirst. This is the hunger and thirst of the realized master. Because he has, without the ideas of I and mine, he doesn't have that. Okay. The next one is there's a change in meter. Chinta shunyam dainya bhaikshamashanam panam saridvarishu swatantrena nirankusha sthitihi abhinidrashmashane mane vastram kshalana shoshanadirahitam digvastu shayamahi sancharo nigamanta vithishu vidam krida pare brahmani. Without the anxiety and humiliation of begging, men of perfection have their food and drink the waters of rivers. They live free and independent, sleeping without fear in cremation grounds or in a forest. Their clothing is the quarters, which need no washing or drying or some bark, etc. The earth is their bed, and they roam in the avenues of Vedanta while they revel in the supreme Brahman. This is how a Jivan Mukta Purusha lives. There is a text by Bhagavan Shankaracharya only, Jivan Muktananda Lehari. Jivan Mukta means, how does a Jivan Mukta, only 5 or 6 verses. How does a Jivan Mukta Purusha live? This is what he's telling us here. So Chinta Shunya, there is no worries. Worry is about the future, right? Worry can never be there about the past. Chinta is always, see, chinta, if you take that half na, it becomes chitta. When you do too much chinta, it is going to lead to chitta. You know, chitta, what is chitta? Chitta is cremation. Because you're worrying so much, is going to bring your death closer to you, because you're going to end up with blood pressure and everything. Anyway, Chinta is for the future. He never worries about the future. He has transcended time. So there is no question of past and future for him. He always lives in the present. Even for us, that is a very, very big tip. Let me tell you. How do you get rid of worry? If you live in the present moment always, you will not worry. Worry is always in the future. So that means you're worrying about something that may or may not happen in the future, and that future may not come. So future is imaginary. We are imagining, you know. Honestly, I was everybody my age is like, oh my God, what kind of death am I going to have? That is how they think. What's going to happen, right? They don't have this knowledge, right? See, this knowledge, that is why we need to get established in this knowledge. Just stay in the present. Today, is anything happening to you at this moment? It's not, nah. It's okay. Let's see, whatever happens tomorrow, we'll face it. We don't know really what is going to happen tomorrow or the next moment. But when it comes, we'll face it. Let's not ruin our present. That is how we ruin our present moments also, by worrying about the future. Okay. But this realized master, having transcended time, chinta shunya. So there is no chinta. So humiliation of begging, bhiksha, he begs for food. That is how the Jivan Mukta, some of them, they don't even beg. They just say, okay, if the body is meant to get some food, the food will come walking to me. Samay Tapon Maharaj was like that. He never went and begged. He just roamed around there. Then somebody came and they would give him food or whatever. So he got food. He didn't get food, no problem. But because you see, the ego is not there. We would feel, good Lord, you think I'm going to, like I told you that day, that girl offered me cookie. I thought, man, what does she think? I need the cookie? That's ego. The thought has come from ego. So we would never go and beg. You'll think, what? I have to beg for food. But the realized master doesn't think like that. So the sannyasis, Swami Ramdas and all, Bhagwan Shankaracharya also, he would go from door to door and ask for food, right? But bhiksha means they never ask for whatever they like. That's how this Bhagwan Shankaracharya, where he went to one lady's house, she was so poor, she had nothing to give him. That's when he sang that stotra to Lakshmi ji, and then gold coins rained in that house. This is how the story goes. So he doesn't have the humiliation, because he doesn't have the the insult belongs to the ego. Now the ego is already erased, so nothing. Ashanam panam saridvarishu. So they have their food and drink. If the river of the water, that's the water of the river, not river. Water, they drink that, and they eat whatever fruits are there, whatever in the forest, they will eat. Whatever they get, they eat. They do not demand food. Like I like this, so I'll eat this. I don't like that, so why should I eat that? They don't have that sort of thing. Stitihi abhihi nidra smashane vane. So nidra, sleep. If they if they have to feel sleepy and there's a cremation ground there, they will go sleep. They are not afraid. See, there is a Sant Tukaram, a Marathi saint. He said, "Hey Vishwachi Majhe Ghara. This world is my house. So the earth is my bed and the sky is my blanket." That's what he said. This is what this is. Nidra smashane vane. So whether it is a cremation ground or whether it is a forest, or if somebody invites him into the house, then okay, that's fine. He goes into the house, whatever. Vastram kshalana shoshanadi rahitam. So vastram are his quarters, like Digambar avastha, like the space, that is his vastra. Or the bark of a tree. He'll take the bark of a tree. Okay, fine. Or if somebody offers him. Swami Tapon Maharaj, they say that in the winter, he would come down from the top of the Himalayas. And then he had some devotees who were very rich. So they would take him home. And then when he would go home, then they would offer him even slippers and, clothes. They would offer him food in silver thali, very good meals, like, because they were rich devotees, that's what they would do. But it is said that when he walked out of there, he would leave everything, like his slipper, whatever they gave him, he will leave, and whatever he came with, he would only wear a shirt. I've never seen his photo with a lungi or any such thing, just a long shirt. He will just wear that. Whatever he walked in with his shirt, because he never had anything. He never carried a commando, anything, nothing. Like that, he will walk out. And then the 6 summer months, he will go, he used to like, that's why his book is there, Wanderings in the Himalayas. You keep wandering there. If food comes, if the body is destined to get food, it will come. I don't have to worry. Therefore, chinta shunya. We eat now and then we worry tomorrow, what am I going to cook? Oh God, I tell you, we are far, at least I shouldn't say we. I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do tomorrow? So he doesn't have that. Clothes, he's not worried. Otherwise, he'll just take the bark of the tree or it's fine. Because there is no body consciousness. Clothes become important because we're very, very conscious of our bodies. So then, and the ego is there, right? So that's when the clothes come into them. Sancharo nigamanta vithishu. So the earth, and they roam in the avenues of Vedanta means what? What are the avenues of Vedanta? Means he's reveling in the self, in that Brahman, in that is what it is, not like, in the book Vedanta. There's no book or anything. In his mind, he is constantly with the supreme reality. He is himself the supreme reality. So that bliss. This is what is actually meant by Adhyatma Nitya in chapter 15. Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kamaha. This is like constantly in Adhyatma, he's in Vedanta. Constantly, his mind is only reveling in the pure consciousness, in the self. And this is how they revel. And if somebody else comes and talks to them, they actually bring the mind down to the level of the person and then they talk. This is how I've heard. Like otherwise they're very happy. Don't disturb them. They're very happy with themselves. But if somebody comes, approaches them, then they come down to that level. They come down actually, because they are in that highest level. They come down, they interact with the other person, whatever is there, and then they go back again and stay there, in a comfortable position. This is what Krida Pare Brahmani. So while they revel in the supreme Brahman, so this is how they live. So they revel in the supreme Brahman. They do not worry about anything. Whatever food comes to them, they are happy with it. If it doesn't come, they are still happy with it. They are not this thing. For them, they can sleep anywhere, whether it is a cremation ground or a forest. The earth is the bed, sky is the blanket, and the quarters, space is their clothes. Okay. When you're asking asking for bhiksha means the sannyasis, there are rules. There are very strict rules. So the rules, the first is that you only go to 5 houses. You don't go to like 15, 20, 30, 40 houses. Like, let me see. No, only 5 houses. Now, in the 5 houses, if there are people who don't give them anything, that's it. No food for them. Okay. In the 5 houses, they could maybe someday. The other thing is every day they cannot go to the same houses, because there might be some people who are very generous, who are very devoted. So they will give them food, and they know that this sannyasi maybe likes this thing. So they will give them food that the sannyasi likes. So the sannyasi is not allowed to go back to that same house every day. He's not. Okay. So whatever comes, and that's why that is the instruction that is given for vanaprastha. Those who are in vanaprasthana, they must not demand food. Like whatever comes as your prarabdha, you eat. That is the idea. That is why this is like that. So in your own home, you live like a sannyasi. That's the idea. Vanaprastha in vanaprastha ashram. Okay, simple enough. Okay, we'll do one more. Vimanamalamभ्य शरीरमेतद्भुनक्त्य शेषान् विषयानुपस्थितान् परेच्छया बालवदात्मवेत्ता यो व्यक्तलिङ्गो ननु शक्तबाह्यः. He wears no insignia and is unattached to sense objects. He remains in this body without identifying with it and experiences sense objects as they come by the wish of others. The knower of Atman is like a child. Again, the child word is coming because how the child is, right? Whatever the mother puts clothes, he wears, whichever way, when they're small, once they start getting their own identity, then they start acting up. But until then, they are so so we mana malambya vigata mana identification with anatma. Mana is what is anatma? Body. So identification with the body is not there. Vigata, without. So there is no this thing. And then, and this vigata mana, if you remember chapter 13, amanitvam adambitvam, Bhagavan said, is jnana. So amanitvam is the practice that we should do. Reduce our identification with the body. Like I told you, nobody says, go on saying, I'm the body, but they behave, they talk like they are the body. Our behavior is like that. How is a baby? Oh my God, I'm getting old. My hair is going gray, or I'm getting wrinkles. Now people should not know what my age is. So all these things, when these are manifest, we come to know that there is too much identification with the body, which should not be there, because this thing. And in chapter 15, it says nirmana moha jita sanga dosha. So nirmana, again, same thing. Amanitvam and nirmana is the same. Mana is identification, is measuring, and nirmana is there. So the realized master is totally unattached to sense objects, because we are going after sense objects for happiness. He has realized himself to be that source of happiness. He's not going to go after any sense object or anything else, because he's always happy. Okay, he remains in this body without identifying and experience as they come by the wish of others. That is what I told you, parechaya. So there might, like Swami Tapon Maharaj, I gave you the example. When he stays in the devotee's house, it is their ichha that he should wear slippers. It is their desire that he should eat in a silver thali. It is their desire that he should eat this type of food. So they will make that type of food. Now the master, he doesn't say, don't. He doesn't say that, because he knows that that is their love and devotion and service to him. So he accepts it with grace, but he doesn't get attached to it. That is the main thing. That is for us also. See, Parecha for us is our destiny will bring us the happy moments. It will bring, because we have done something good in the past. So the destiny will bring to us, enjoy it, but don't get attached to it. That is the trick. The minute you start saying that, this was so nice, when will this happen again to me? You got bound. Then. So don't say that. But nobody said, oh no, it's okay. I'm mission member, so I don't enjoy. No, you go enjoy. If somebody has made food for you, which you like, somebody is giving you some gift, but don't get attached to it. Don't expect it. Don't think when I'm going to get it again. These thoughts must not come. You stay in the present, you accept, you enjoy, drop it. Next moment you drop it. That's why childlike. You drop it. Even the child, he enjoys, he will play with the babysitter or in the school. And then when it's time to leave and mom comes, bye-bye, he'll say, and he'll go away and forget the school and forget the teacher, forget the toys. That way. Okay, balavat vadatma veta, balavat, because bala child, if everybody else is, they think these clothes will look nice, so they buy, they think whatever, and they give. By the way, the knower of Atman is like a child. So child, like I told you. Okay, we'll stop here today, 5:40. We are coming very close to the end. Any questions? No questions? Clear? Okay. So we'll have class next Friday, which would be March. All right. So I will see some of you on Sunday, and then on Monday. Sunday, we will continue with chapter 5 and 18 on Monday. All right. Okay. Om swasti prajabhyav paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam kshobarahita brahmana santu nirbhayaha Om sarvesham swasti bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaha सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ हरि ओम everybody. I shall see you next Friday. Good night.